This material is made available to you by or on behalf of the University of Melbourne under Section 113P of the Copyright Act 1968. It may be subject to copyright. For more information, visit the University Copyright website.
Terrible photos and memes, and hopefully I'll get a few laughs. Please laugh. Give me some validation. Don't really know what you guys want, so I'm just sort of going to go through where I went in high school, what I was doing in high school, what I was doing in uni, and then hopefully I'll get some questions from you guys and give you a bit of idea of what you guys can ask me. So as you guys saw, I'm going to just splatter a whole bunch of really bad memes throughout this, hopefully make it a bit more exciting. So I'll give you a snapshot of what I'm doing right now. So I just finished a commerce degree at Melbourne Uni. I was doing an eco-finance major and then realised making money really wasn't for me, so I dropped finance and stuck with economics, stuck with the really nerdy one. Took a year off after that. I was going to do an honours year, really wanted to, but my ultimate goal was to do law. So I decided to take a year off and I reset the LSATs. If anyone's not sure what the deal here is at Melbourne, law is a postgrad degree here, and you have to both get your marks, obviously, from your undergrad, and that's part of your entry, and as well as you have to sit this test called the LSATs. Does anyone watch Suits here? A couple of Suits fans? Everyone remember the very first episode where Mike sits that test where someone puts the baseball cap on and cheats his way through? That's the LSATs. That's to get into law school. We have the same system as America here at Melbourne Uni. So I sat that, and then I'm currently in my first year of law school. You can probably see all the really dark spots under my eyes. I don't get much sleep. But I'm really enjoying it. All right, so let's go through my life. So I went to standard public high school, Werribee Secondary College, down in the west. So if anyone's worried about only private school kids or something come to Melbourne Uni, that's not the case here. If anyone's worried about ScoMo cutting some money or anything, don't stress about that. ScoMo is not going to prevent you from coming to Melbourne Uni. Just do well in your exams, you'll be fine. What did I do in high school? Well, here is an accurate photo of me playing cricket. So I did a few things in high school. I wasn't the most active, but I wasn't inactive. I didn't just study. Cricket was one of the things that I always did. I did also play guitar during my time. I was in a failed garage band that lasted all of 6 months. But I played guitar just for fun, and in all the school bands, that was always good fun as well. And of course, I had the standard McDonald's job for 3 years. Which was not fun at all. Don't recommend it. I was one of the few students who, I was in an advanced class in high school, as I'm sure many of you probably are here. I was the only one that worked, which is really strange. I really recommend people to do stuff whilst they're doing their exams, whether in year 11 or 12. Obviously, take some time off during your exam period. Don't be doing 20 hours of work during your exam times, but definitely, I highly recommend people to do stuff during their studies. Now, is anyone here in Year 11? Oh, great. That's perfect. I thought like everyone was in Year 12, like this section's going to be completely useless, but it won't be. Even if you're in Year 11, you can still change the subject. So I just want to show you guys what I was doing and to get here. Obviously, I didn't really fully know what I wanted to do. I sort of thought law, commerce, yeah, that would be the way to go. But I didn't have a really strong idea, so I just sort of picked subjects that I thought I would enjoy and that I'd be good at. So the first one was the classic English that everyone has to do. I also did math methods. Yes, got some laughs. So I did math methods mainly because, well, most degrees will require a maths portion, or some will at least. So math methods was a requirement. I was doing physics in Year 11. Mainly because I was thinking of being an engineer and then realised halfway through engineering is not for me. So I got rid of that one at the end of Year 11, and I was sort of thinking, what am I going to replace it with? Thinking law, at the end of Year 11, law is probably where I want to go. So I was thinking maybe legal studies, but I thought, that might be a bit hard to transition into. Evidently it wasn't. A friend of mine did the same thing, got a perfect 50. So yeah, that was really frustrating. But anyway, I thought I'm pretty good at math, I'm not too bad at math, so I'll do another math subject, so I picked further mathematics. If anyone's doing further math. Then I also did, our school required us to do 2 subjects in Year 11, 2 Year 12 subjects in Year 11, so we didn't have much choice though. So we had to pick one of 2 sciences, and of those 2 I picked psychology. because I hated biology. So I went to psych. And the second one was one of two humanities, history or economics, and evidently I went down the economics pathway. I couldn't find an economics meme, I'm really sorry. And then the last one was sort of a bit left of centre. I had one more subject to do, and I picked music performance and played Wonderwall. So I did a really eclectic mix of subjects. You certainly don't have to do all the super smart subjects or your sciences and specialist and methods and stuff. You can see, I did a couple of hard ones, economics and methods, and then I did music performance, which had no homework whatsoever. I just played guitar all day. It's great. So you certainly don't have to do all the super smart ones just to get to Melbourne. You can do whatever you want and still get a great score. And that's the nature of the VCE system. So with that, I've got 3 tips for everyone. If you're still considering what subjects you're going to do in Year 12, or you haven't put your selection in yet or not. The first one is, of course, picking the subjects for your university prereqs. Now, of course, again, not everyone knows what they want to do. I still didn't fully know what I wanted to do, but I had a rough idea of what degrees would get me somewhere or what I felt like would be interesting, so I made sure I had the prereqs for that. And really, that was just English and methods. I didn't have to worry about anything else. Didn't even have to do legal studies for law. The second one was picking subjects that you're good at. I was a bit of a weird one. I was sort of average good at everything, but never excelled at anything in particular. But I was sort of pretty good at maths, so I sort of go with that. What else did I do? Psych was just interesting. And I picked music performance because I've been playing guitar for 10 years, and I thought that would be really good to do. And it was a good way to have a break from the other subjects. And the last one, of course, is to pick subjects that interest you. So I thought psych would be interesting. It was really interesting to see how people think and what are the different processes of analysing that. Economics is really interesting to understand how how our economy works, how our country operates, how money cycles through, things like that. Math wasn't interesting, but you just had to do it. Music was really interesting because there was no homework, so I loved it. I think the big takeaway from this is you've got to play the VCE game. Unfortunately, the system is not so much just how well you do in the exams, but how well you do compared to everyone else. So I feel like this 3-tiered system should help you maximise your marks. Obviously, you do your prereqs, that doesn't really help, but picking subjects that you're good at and picking subjects that you enjoy are naturally going to get you to a spot that you perform better at. And of course, doing other things as well. Like I picked music performance specifically for the fact that there was less homework and I was pretty good at it, so I could focus more on my English and my methods, which, again, I was good at but wasn't great at, so I really needed to put in a lot of extra work there. And I recommend other people, if you're sort of thinking that's the way to go, if you're good at dancing or you play an instrument or something, you're a vocalist, whatever, something like music performance or drama or something like that where there's less written homework and there's more just practicing the performance. It's a good break and you'll probably do well with it and you can focus more on your other subjects. So what motivated me to study law? This is the one. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. I didn't animate this one. That's great. So I was sort of thinking I wanted to do something that was a little bit, something that would help people, but also be well respected in society. So one of them was engineering. My dad really wanted me to go that path, but I was just like, that's incredibly boring and just didn't interest me at all. I thought about medicine for all of 2 seconds. I hated watching those emergency shows where they operate on people and they put them on TV. I hated that. Decided to go with law. I thought that was the most interesting one. And given that I'd done economics as well, I thought that was interesting as well. So why did I do a commerce degree? Again, because I did economics in VCE and really enjoyed it. Probably enjoyed it more in university than I did in high school, but nevertheless, I think that was one of the guiding reasons that I wanted to go down economics as well. I think economics gives you a good understanding of the world. So when I did it, we'd been 4 or 5 years out of the GFC, actually probably 5 or 6 years out of the GFC. And it was really interesting just to understand how that worked and why things happened and why the economy is as it is. So I think that was a really good way to understand the world a little bit better, understand politics a bit better, understand different policies and things like that. Another one is law is hard and intense. So if anyone is considering law, most people will do a dual degree. Particularly if you don't go to Melbourne Uni, you go to another university. They have the bachelor system. So most people do a double degree because it's really hard law. And you just need a break from something you're not reading 100-page judgments from 1650s, that's some boring thing or whatever it may be. It's good to break it up a little bit. I think it gives you some practical skills as well. Employers really like people who have an understanding of commerce, who understand how money flows, how interest is earned, and things like that. So it's really valued by employers in whatever field that you do, whether you go down an artistic route or you work in an office position, you work in an engineering position on the fields. Doesn't matter what you do, having that commerce background I think is really valuable. So I highly recommend, even if you don't go down a commerce pathway, you can certainly pick up a couple of subjects in economics or finance, something like that. Really recommend it. Clubs and societies whilst I've been at university. So I've been in a few. I was in the debating club here for a couple of years, or for 1 year actually. So that was really good fun to do. I'd done debating and public speaking in high school, but I quickly left because people were much better than I was, and I got constantly embarrassed every week speaking. So I left that very quickly. Don't do that. Stay in there, sticking to it, and it'll certainly develop your public speaking skills. And that just was this sort of social change sort of club where we effectively consulted for businesses and different societies and organisations outside of the university and gave them some advice as to what they could do to have a better social change, whatever it may be. So we worked on a couple of projects. One was down on Brunswick Street. There's a little like rock climbing path. I don't know if anyone's seen that. We sort of helped consult on that. Sort of created, it was a really sort of dodgy area, that place, and then we sort of livened it up a little bit and got kids playing there and families going there all the time, which was good. Keynes was an economics one, so I wrote articles based on what was happening in the economy around the world. So we wrote a couple of articles on, for example, we did one about, there was the Belgium terror attacks. We looked at how that could lead to economic changes. What was the result of that? We looked at things like Saudi Arabia's new economic plans, wrote about a whole bunch of different things, which was a really interesting thing to do, sort of get that sort of journalistic aspect and learn about the economy from a global perspective. MUI was a health organisation. I did a lot of tutoring with these guys, a lot of volunteer tutoring. I don't know if anyone's been to the slot back or the masterclass programs, but I was part of those. And then currently in the law school, I'm part of the International Law Journal there. So academics write articles and we edit them and then publish them, which is essentially what we do. So there's lots of things you can do here. These are more tailored towards developing skills for a career, but there are certainly fun ones as well that I was part of. There's a chocolate society where you just get free chocolate every week, which is always good. There are other beverage societies, which are certainly not for your age at the moment, but when everyone turns 18, you'll sure be able to enjoy them. There's a whole bunch of different societies. There's one for different cultures. There's a space program here where they're just launching a new satellite very soon, I believe. So there's heaps of different societies that do at university. I also did a couple of internships as well. Philip Morris was a really morally questionable one. If anyone doesn't know what Philip Morris does, they manufacture tobacco products. I worked there just as that time when Australia was suing them and won, which was very interesting. Certainly got me interested in law. And I also did another internship at the Victorian, say the Becky. They're essentially a lobbyist for small businesses, so that was more of an economics-related one. Internships really give you a real-life experience as to how to apply your degree in different areas, and I think I sort of made me realise what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. Working in tobacco was definitely not what I wanted to do, so I can that one. But I think having an economic policy was really good. So doing the Becky one was really interesting to sort of see how I could have effects, doing some policy analysis. I also did some overseas study as well. So there's lots of opportunities for overseas study, both at Melbourne and other universities. I unfortunately didn't do a full semester, which I would highly recommend everyone to do, but I did a couple of small ones. So the first one I did was a subject at the London School of Economics, which was really, really good. Did it in the winter. Basically, did a corporate law subject, met a whole bunch of people from around a different world. So as you see here, me and a friend on the outside are both from Melbourne. We just by chance happened to meet, and the two in the middle were from Brazil, and we've been friends ever since. So highly recommend doing a program like that. You just get to meet so many different people from around the world. And the second one was a subject that I did in Singapore, which was a consulting subject. It was part of the university, part of my subjects. It was a really easy mark as well, so always good. And basically just got to consult for a big company and just, yeah, pretty much all I did for 3 weeks. Just wrote a report and spoke to people and then ate food every day because food was like $4 a pop, which was great. So a couple of last tips before I leave and I throw the questions to the audience. If you're thinking about what to do with your career and where you're going to go from here after your exams, I think just generally think about what interests you. I probably had more of an idea than most of my classmates, but even then I wasn't set on exactly what I wanted to do. I know I want to work in law. I probably want to go down a commercial law route, but I still don't really know exactly where, even after 5 years of university. So just have a think about what interests you. Is it history and art, or is it sort of that money, commerce sort of business area? Is it perhaps law, or is it engineering? What generally interests you, and try to go down that path. I would talk to people in the industry early. I know it's really hard as high school students. You probably don't know a lot of people in the industry, but try to come to programs like this and to come to different career speeches and things like that. It'll really give you an idea of what you might like and don't like in the industry. Start doing that now, and you'll certainly do a lot of it during university, but if you can do it over the next year or so, hopefully it'll guide you a little bit more. Work experience is always good too. I did mine in year 10 at a law firm. That sort of helped guide me as well. Keep an open mind with your university studies. I was really surprised about the number of people who switched degrees during their university studies, and this is because it's really hard to come to a decision at the age of 16. You don't really know what you want to do, and you're sort of exploring new things. I think that's where the Melbourne model really excels at, because you have to do a general degree in either commerce or science or art or something, and you sort of just pick your major. You've got a bit of time to think about what you want to do, and then if you sort of think later on, oh, law is for me, or engineering or medicine or something like that, then you can start thinking about that and go down that pathway later on. So if you really aren't sure, come to Melbourne, I think. Is the best way to go. Research which university and which degree is best for you. So I think that's one thing that I would start doing now. I think certain universities really excel at certain disciplines and are good for, better for certain disciplines. So commerce, Melbourne and Monash and even Deakin and the like are all pretty good at that. Law is very much a similar thing. But for example, if you're considering engineering, I might consider going to say Monash or RMIT. I think that they're probably more suited to those degrees. So really research your universities and go, what's going to be best for what I want to study? Or if you're not sure, just come to Melbourne again. Take on any opportunity that comes your way. Again, it's a bit hard now, more so when you go to university. Any internships, any opportunities, really take them on, even if it's just a day shadowing someone in their industry. You really get an idea of what you might like and don't like by doing those things. And the last one is just keep doing you. So don't lose what makes yourself individual. If you're a sports person, keep playing sport. If you're playing an instrument, keep playing an instrument. Really get involved in the university with what your interests are and things like that. Don't lose your personality. Don't just get stuck in the books whilst you're in high school and also whilst you're in university. Make sure you keep doing the things that you enjoy. Stay healthy, stay happy, and you'll have a happy time at university and you'll have a happy time at high school and you'll come out with a great job. All right, thank you guys for that.
Great life advice as well, because it's one of those times where you have to figure out what is for you at this point in time, and that might be University of Melbourne, which I'm hoping it is, but it might also be somewhere else, and you have to make that decision for yourself, and you should definitely be doing your research at this point in time, especially considering VCE courses, I think. Yeah. So, this week, yes. All right, cool. Thanks, Jayne.
No worries.
Over.
There you go. Give me a few seconds while my laptop gets going. Okay. G'day everyone, and thanks Michaela for that introduction. My name is Jayne. I grew up in Ocean Grove, so about an hour and a half down the coast, and I attended Bellarine Secondary College, which is in Drysdale, about 10 minutes away from Ocean Grove. And yeah, in June this year, I graduated from Melbourne Uni with a Bachelor of Arts degree and my Diploma of Languages, which was in Indonesian. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey through Melbourne Uni, moving away from home, university exchange, some work experience I've done, and which has often been through the assistance of Conley Dow, which has been super awesome. And just to preface everything that Jake said, I absolutely endorse 100%. So hopefully you guys just learn a little bit more through me, or maybe some things that you didn't know before. Cool. So, actually, we'll start with why I chose the Bachelor of Arts. So, because I didn't grow up in Melbourne, I guess I didn't really know too much about what Melbourne Uni had to offer. So the Conley Dow program at the time was incredibly insightful for me and gave me an opportunity to taste what university life could be. So I remember during Year 12, I was tossing up between like a Bachelor of Arts and Law degree at Monash, kind of like what Jake was saying, there's multiple ways you can study law, or just a straight arts degree program here. And because Melbourne Uni is so great for people who are unsure about things, what appealed to me was the freedom that I could have here. So I was never 100% set on law, and I wanted to be able to explore my current passions, which are things like politics, languages, sociology, but also explore some new things. So whilst my major is in politics, I did law subjects, commerce subjects, some linguistic subjects. So I often say, and a few of my friends often say that have done an arts degree, that we could do our degree 6 times over because we just want to keep coming back and doing new majors and studying new subjects because there's just so much to do here. It's so exciting. And yes, I'm potentially considering studying law next year, but I won't touch on that too much because Jake did a brilliant job at doing that. But I've also been looking at some like graduate programs in like government departments, both in Victoria and in the federal government. So next thing, moving away from Melbourne. So once I'd made the decision I wanted to attend Melbourne Uni, I had to think about where I wanted to live. I grew up in Ocean Grove, as I said before, so moving away was a very real and practical option for me. And I know some of you here today are from rural or regional areas in Victoria, or even interstate border towns. So hopefully I can shed some light on what my experiences was like. I think part of the reason I did move, because Ocean Grove is an hour and a half away, right? So there's a possibility I could have commuted, and I had a lot of my brother's friends in the year above who did make that decision. I think because I knew that I had the help of Conley Dow to relocate, and a lot of my brother's friends, whilst they were enjoying uni by going to uni every day, they just weren't as engaged with what they were, the subject matter, uni life, and I just thought that would be a real shame, especially at Melbourne Uni, to not get involved in as many things as possible. So yeah, I started looking at university colleges. For the first 2 years of my degree, I was incredibly lucky to live at St Hilda's College, one of the university's 10 residential colleges, and maybe through the Conley Dow program, I'm not too sure, but you might have had a chance to see them or stay overnight at some of them. I know I certainly did when I was in the program. So yeah, when I was in the program, we got to stay overnight at Ormond and Janet Clark Hall. So on my open day, I think in 2013, 2014, I filled in all of the blanks. I went to Trinity, I went to St Hilda's, I went to Mary's, which was my mum's former college, Queen's College, all of the different ones, and I was which one am I going to pick? And I was I decided I wanted to go to Queen's, and then I walked into St Hilda's College, and I had the best tour ever, most amazing people, everyone was so friendly, and I was this is the place for me. And St Hilda's has about 200 students, which is a little bit smaller than places like Trinity or Ormond. So for me, it had this incredible sense of community, and as a kid from regional Victoria, I wanted to be part of this community, and it was an incredibly grounding experience to be there. And I found it made my transition to university life so much easier, to the point I was calling college home within 3 weeks. Mum was so sad. Anyways, so college life. So aside from providing a bed to sleep on, meals 7 days a week, what does college have to offer? And there's literally so much I could say about this. So I've got some photos. If you recognise anyone in the photos, don't tell them, because I didn't tell them I was going to put this slide up. So I'm going to be so mad. Okay, so one of the first things is social activity. So it's a way of bringing people from all the different parts of Victoria, interstate and even overseas, into this one environment, and you do everything together. So there's lots of nights out, there's social dinners and activities they try and bring you together, and O-Week activities. So a lot of the colleges run their own O-Week program in addition to the Melbourne Uni one, so you have a chance to really get to know the people that you're living with. So here's just a few snaps of me at formal dinners, O Week, and the last one was me being an O Week leader in the second year of college, so I actually got to induct all of the first years or freshers into college life. Another big part of college life is sport. So basically the colleges have an intercollegiate round robin system, so there's like different seasons and you can play different sports. So like there's netball, footy, cricket, tennis, badminton, volleyball, all these different things. So there's like a chance to get involved if you're a really keen sportsman or a keen spectator. There's lots to go see, and you play all the different colleges, and it's really nice. And for like, if you go to a smaller college like Hilda's, the chances are they need people to fill teams. So you might get a chance to play things like softball or volleyball, which I know I personally didn't have too much experience playing, but it was a really great chance to make some new friends and try out some new skills. And yeah, you get a chance to play all the other colleges, so there's a bit of intercollegiate rivalry there. I know St Hilda's has a very good track record of netball, so if any keen netballers are out there, please apply. We won this year. And another big thing that we have going at college is there's things like music and theatre. So every year there's a college musical or theatre production. There are music nights and gig nights, a thing called Battle of the Bands, where all the colleges come up with like a set and play and like do a gig and kind of verse all of each other, and like a dance off and things like that. So there's so many different ways to get engaged if you're not particularly sporty as well, and that's really good fun. In my second year I also got to convene or produce the theatre, and that was our production down below, which was the Jazzy Chaperone, and it was so much fun, and literally the bar for skill level is so low, so like we don't say no to anyone who wants to be in the theatre. I certainly was an extra and a dancer in the first year, much probably to the disappointment of the producers at the time, and it was just an awesome experience, another great way to make friends and just do theatre, which I never really had a chance to do in my high school years. And then also, there's lots of, particularly once you like, a lot of people in college stay for 2 years, so after that there's a lot of chance to take on leadership positions within the college. It's a community and we run lots of activities, so we need people to organise them, implement them and get people engaged within the college. So as I said before, I was an O Week leader in my second year, so I got to plan all the activities and take all the freshers around Melbourne, and we played games and had dinners and drinks and lots of other things. I got to interview the freshers, so at St Hilda's College in particular, we have, when you apply, you have to do an interview, but there's also an interview with some of the students, which I think is really nice because it gives a chance for you to ask some questions to people who have lived through the college experience as well. But I got a chance to interview them and get to know some of the potential students that were going to come into the college for that second year. Sports captains, so obviously in the second year we need people to captain the sports, there's opportunities for that, and also lots of like committee positions, so there's a committee for the college ball and the college play and the sports committee and things like that, and they also help run it. So there's so many like leadership activities that you can do when you're in college as well, as well as play and just be a part of the general atmosphere. But I think like the most important thing about college is the lifelong friends that you make, and it's incredibly cliche, but it's incredibly true. You just meet people from so many different walks of life and places all across Australia, and the friends that I've made through college, I'm still friends with today. I'm housemates with 4 of them, and it's just a really nice way to, just been super nice. I've got mates from Ballarat, Warrnambool, Kyabram, Echuca, and even interstate from places like Sydney and Darwin, and it's just so nice to have those sorts of friendships and get to know people you get to know them so well, and then you're living and you eat meals together and you just do everything, so you get to know them on a very like real level, so that's really awesome. Justifying college. So as you can tell, I'm a massive advocate for going to college and moving away from home, but I'm very aware that cost is a pretty big barrier for some people, and it's certainly not cheap to live at college. So for that, I do say that there are so many scholarships and financial assistance bursaries available, both through Melbourne Uni, so Quangley Dow, they will give you 2.5 to relocate if you need that. But also there's like colleges themselves offer a lot of scholarships as well. So I know that if you're a Quangley Dow scholar and you go to St Hilda's College, my college, they'll give you an extra $3,500 to help with that relocation process as well. And I do some volunteer work for like the McPherson Smith Rural Foundation, so they also provide things like scholarships and financial assistance to kids who are wanting to move away from home and support themselves during their university degree. So yeah, keep an eye out for them, because I know I'm incredibly fortunate to have the experience to go to college, and I would hate for people to feel like they would have to miss out for financial reasons. Anyways, so university life. So we'll move chronologically. I've gotten into uni, I found a place to live. What did I want to do once I was there? As Jake touched on before very well, Melbourne Uni has so many clubs and societies you can be a part of. I will admit, because you go to a college, you live together, you're all in love with each other, sometimes, particularly in my first year, I may have been a little bit detached from what Melbourne Uni had to offer, because there was so much to do within my college community itself. They did take us to like the society and clubs affair, but kind of in second year was when I started to really broaden my interests and see what Melbourne Uni really had to offer. So I was much more woken come second year. I joined the Indonesian Student Language Association, played some softball for the uni team, as well as started to attend lots of the free public lectures that Melbourne Uni has on, and things that I was interested in, so things like politics and law and policy and stuff like that, and by really cool academics that often come to visit Melbourne Uni, so you get to learn some knowledge outside of your degree, which I think is really beneficial. And I also found that it was another way to get that real sense of community and camaraderie in the university environment that you might not get if you live around the corner from the university, so you're obviously not going to live on residence. So it's another way to just keep engaged with the university and make sure that you're spending your time there really wisely and doing good things. So yeah, that's why I would recommend to just, even if you don't live on campus, do live on campus, definitely check out what the clubs and societies have to offer. At the very least, you'll pay a $5 membership and get free beers and sausages at the end of their events. So I think it's an investment, personally. In my third year, I also had the opportunity to partake in a subject called parliamentary internship. So as a politics major, they offer this subject up to third-year students, and basically you get paired up with a member of the Victorian Parliament. They give you a report that they want you to investigate, and you go off and do some research, and you come back with a 6,000-word report. My report, I ended up going to Ballarat, not going to Ballarat, but my report was based in Ballarat and looking at the impacts of population growth in that town there. So that was really exciting, and it was really just nice to meet like-minded students who were all undertaking this subject but doing lots of different topics, and it was just a really nice way to bring us together and talk about our research and just get to know people on a more academic level as well. Plus you get to go to the Victorian Parliament every 2 weeks, which is really nice and just an awesome building. Okay, so before I bore you too much, I'm going to talk about my recent experience, which was a semester-long exchange at the University of Bristol in the UK. So yeah, Melbourne Uni is great for overseas experiences, again like Jake said, but we have lots of exchange partners all over the world. So you can study for a semester or 6 months, and there's even lots of short courses like Jake did